Hey, it's Elizabeth here. So I just wanted to do a brief little video, kind of like a recap of some stuff. After I made the last video of me walking over the bridge to Barcelos, I spoke with an older Swedish couple, and they asked me why I was here and if I'm alone. And I told them yeah, and the woman, they were so kind. I think they felt really bad for me in terms of like getting a divorce and getting temporarily laid off my job and stuff. And she said, "You're a really brave woman for coming here and doing this." And I really appreciated that, because it does take a lot. Women don't really have it easy nowadays, especially traveling. I've had so much shit happen to me abroad, specifically from men of different backgrounds, that you just never know what can happen. And it's kind of funny. 11 years ago at 22, I was venturing off in yoga, putting my body through a ton of physical pain. And I'm doing the same thing at 33. I'm putting my body through some form of a challenge and undergoing some physical pain. Man, this bag is really rocking my feet on the cobblestone. I had a rock climbing injury earlier in May, and I think that carrying this bag has triggered it. My left knee is killing me. I don't honestly really know what I'm going to do, because walking without the bag is completely fine. Adjusting the straps on my hips absolutely helped, so thank you all for noticing that. Stupid me. But yeah, I'm in Barcelos. It's beautiful here. It's a cute and quaint town. I actually had like an emotional meltdown, which happens a lot. I mean, not uncontrollable meltdown, just tears, once I got to my hotel room. Because when you're in Barcelos, you have this beautiful historic area, and then you have an area where you can tell there's definitely some money and some classiness here. A lot of people are driving BMWs, and I think I just kind of started crying, because it's like I just wanted to go back to the farm. I was like, send me back to rural peasant land. Like, I kind of felt I didn't fit in, and it was kind of an interesting experience. Maybe it was the song that I played also stirred some emotions. But the funny thing is, I walked by this copper and brass shop where a guy, I guess he would be kind of like a goldsmith or a blacksmith, and I was speaking with this old man, this Portuguese guy. He ended up making me this shell necklace. It took about 45 minutes to an hour. I gave him €10. It was €7, and I just let him keep the extra 3 for actually making one in copper, because he did have one in brass. And I was speaking with him, and it was just so cute. He is the 6th generation of the men in his family to work with copper. And I was talking to him about his family and his son is a video gamer, and I guess he went to America to make a lot of money with his friends. And I asked, hey, is this it in your family in terms of working with copper and owning a shop? And he said yes. He goes, I'm not going to retire for a while. He likes working, he likes going to the mountains, but he's like, yep, this is it. This is done. Like, nobody in my family has the skills or wants to carry this lineage on. And I got kind of sad, because I'm like, this is it. Like, this old man was saying he's been around parts of the world, not America, but he goes, he thinks today that people are just mentally sick. And I kind of have to agree with him. It is. Everything we're dealing with right now, whether it's the media and all this bullshit, religious zealotry, terrorism, it's all sickness of the mind. And this technological generation is changing us. And even this old man said the same thing. He's like, technology and the phones change you. And I'm at the Earl Place, which is an old historic, once a castle built in between, is it 1409 to 1412 or 1416? I can't remember, but anyways, it started in 1409. I am walking around this archaeological site, and there's local kids climbing this thing. This is, I can be really uptight about this, I understand, but the thing is, they were climbing this thing, screaming out of control. It's like, it's almost like we're done. This is the future. Everybody, you know, there were some Portuguese girls. There was all like these selfie kind of posy type of shots, which is fine. We all do it. But I guess my point is that this generation, we are lacking a lot of respect. And if you look at the way that you know, things are with technology and Facebook, how it just brings out the monster in a lot of us. I don't know, this old way of living is just, it's going to be gone. And I don't know, I don't get technology that much. I don't get the need to be on it all the time anymore. I mean, when it first came out, I probably was an addict to some degree, and now I'm like, I don't give a fuck about it. As long as I have my pictures back up, I could just throw my iPhone in this river behind me and I can give two shits about that. And, you know, even conversations with this old man that everything is just all about money. And it makes sense. We need money to survive, right? But I don't know. There's just something missing. And there's something just so different in terms of the vibe and the energy of these peasants. They don't have an easy life, but just being in the farm in that natural setting versus being here where it's like a little ritzy and fancy, you know, that part I don't mind. I guess what I'm just trying to say is like, you know, this world is changing as we know it, and the more affluent it becomes, I just kind of almost wonder if we're gonna end up being like the Hunger Games, where it's just like the affluent, you know, new aristocrats are going to be living in like city center or in their like little capital with pink hair, and then all of us peasants are going to be in these little like factions out in, you know, like the shit end of the suburbs. I think I'm kind of going off on this, but I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm just noticing a generational change, and it's not just happening in America, but it's happening in Western civilization. You can even just tell by the way kids dress. Everything is very corporate. You know, all the kids here have their little Adidas shell top shoes. I was in Porto a couple days ago, and there was a Vodafone conference, and I was just kind of analyzing these people, and a lot of them looked, you know, they looked really nice, really chic. Some of these guys were way more orange than Donald Trump. Like, if you think Donald Trump had a bad tan, like, Jesus, some of these Portuguese guys, I was like, Christ. They literally were as orange as, like, the oranges on the tree. But the superficialness is what is ruling us, and it's ruling our younger generation, and we can see this. And I don't know what it is, but we're losing it, not only mentally, I think that's pretty apparent, but it's just the skill set. I mean, this is why a lot of millennials are starting to get back into things like stitching and hand knitting and all this stuff, because they don't know how to do it. When I lived in Germany, I talked to a guy at Kirk 16, who is a Scottish guy who was here for the agriculture conference, and he was saying, you know, there was a big problem with like the ugly fruit and produce, which makes sense, but he was like, young Scottish women today, the young millennial women, they don't know how to cook. It's like, I'm just watching these kids, they don't give a fuck about some 14th century building. They were treating it like we treat a baseball. You just keep hitting it and bashing it until the fucking thing breaks. And I don't know. It's just, I think it's funny because of living in Germany, like German children, I always joked with my ex, I was like, if we had a child, it would be in Germany, because these kids were so respectful to their peers, their adults, their parents, their fellow citizens. Now that might be changing, but what I experienced in 2014 and 15, it was. So tomorrow I have, I'm actually not walking, I'm going to Braga for a day, which will be nice. Maybe my knee will kind of take a break here, but I guess I just want to share some of these thoughts because it's like, this is what I'm thinking. It's what I'm analyzing. I'm not saying I'm right. I know some things I say might sound like I'm really uptight, but these are shifts and changes that are happening in the world. And if our young kids are just, if all they care about are selfies and superficiality and these visceral emotional breakouts, it's like, where are we headed? there will be no future leaders without some form of emotional intelligence and actually caring about what your history and your culture and your lineage has done. Tech world is just changing us. I'm not a huge fan of it. I respect it because it has helped change the world in many ways, but in a lot of ways, I don't think it's very positive and healthy for our mindset. All right, Buen Camino, thank you so much for listening. Please subscribe below if you'd like, and if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave it. Thank you. Bye.